Just like Baby's dad in Dirty Dancing, when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. Darwin, you looked wonderful out there. Darwin Nunez, I owe you a massive, massive apology.
Header. But oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Yes, Travis. We're back.
Like a Cheshire cat, man. Look at him. Look at the state.
We're back. And when I say we're back, I don't just mean onto the ball are back. I mean Liverpool are back. We are absolutely flying at the top of the league. 2 points off City, ahead of Man United, keeping tabs on Arsenal. Let's just get straight into it. Liverpool away to Newcastle. Liverpool away to Chelsea. 2 hard away games in the first 3 games. We're undefeated. We're scoring goals for fun. Everyone goes on and on and on about our front 3 and the 5 strikers we've got at our disposal. And you could look at it and think, you don't win titles with forwards. You win titles with defenders or a solid keeper. But every now and then, moments of brilliance will get you through. And that is exactly what happened on Sunday. Down to 10 men. The odds were against us. Van Dijk sent off. Trent playing like a steaming turd. Salah, Gakpo, Diaz, Endo in the CDM. He had a bit of a nightmare, let's be honest. People on Twitter are already writing him off, and I'm not sure if he's going to make the grade. You know, it's not like me to make a buckshot judgment. I've already wrote Darwin Nunez off saying I've decided he's a flop. And this is the massive apology. Darwin, I say stuff all the time, reverse psychology. Travis knows this. Him right there. Travis knows I do reverse psychology all the time. And yeah, I read you off saying...
Then you had it all planned.
I've made my mind up he's a flop, but then he pops up on Sunday with 2 goals in the last 10 minutes to grab us all 3 points. And I'm absolutely buzzing. I was at the Leeds Festival, just to quickly touch on it. Watching the Killers, I could not get a signal to send messages, but I was receiving messages. So my phone all of a sudden went on fire. We're like, wow, what's going on? Darwin. And I was like, I want to be able to reply. And I just couldn't. I ended up phoning Travis after the game, phoning my mate Woody, phoning my mate Lee from a Liverpool group chat. Just absolutely buzzing. True Gooners in. Vamos Nunez.
Mark, aren't you, man? You're going to start singing Nunez ballads and that. I don't want to see that all over TikTok. I'm telling you that.
Well, Dan was serenading me earlier. Darwinho, wherefore art thou, Darwinho? You are the one for me. Dan, I said that I want Chelsea to buy him for 100 million about 3 days ago. The price has just doubled to 200 million. He's not for sale. Josh, cheers for joining me. I think your ears have been burning today, Josh. You've been in my group chat. I'm going to try and set up a Thursday night big Arsenal Man United stream if you're available. I'll text you on WhatsApp. Travis, let's get straight into it. Liverpool, we've had 2 sending off now in 3 games. I am absolutely convinced that people are conspiring against us. People have got it in for Liverpool. Dan, I was watching you on TikTok last night. Dan hates Liverpool and Liverpool fans. Everyone hates Liverpool. Why do the refs hate Liverpool? Tell me. I think Alistair wasn't sending off. Yeah, I mean, that's another nail in the coffin for VAR. How can you have VAR and then have red cards rescinded and overturned on appeal? VAR, do one. But Sunday, Trav, when you slow it down, it was a foul, wasn't it?
Yeah.
By Van Dijk. Was it a sending off, though? Give me a leveled opinion.
Yeah, I'll give you an opinion. I think back to the original point, I think it goes down to the standard of the referee and VAR. It's been a shambles. This is what I've been saying from the streams from last season. Like the standard of VAR, the use of VAR, the referees, the standards in the bin at the minute. I mean, we're 3 games in and they've got so many incorrect decisions and they're not utilising the resources properly. Like they go over to the screen because they're told to go over the screen. Like the refs don't request to look at the screen to check if they've made the right decision. Like they could just use it so much better than how they're using it. They're being told what to do. When they're looking at an incident, they're being told what decision to make as well. So really the referees are sort of like the fall guys for the incompetence of the overall sort of operation of VAR. And it's unfair on them that they take all the brunt and all the heat. But in terms of the individual decisions that you're referring to, the Van Dijk one for me it's the correct decision. I can see why the Liverpool fans feel a little bit aggrieved by it. And I think it softened the blow that you won, because I think if you had lost the game or not got any points from it or just got a draw, I think you would have been seething. But like Carragher at half time was like, how can you guarantee that it would have been a goal scoring opportunity? Like, there was only the keeper left. Like there was no one else to cover Van Dijk's foul. Like if he doesn't foul him, he is clean through on goal. He might not have scored, but it is a goal scoring opportunity. Like he definitely would have been having a shot on goal. So I think that's why it's a red. I think there was no malice in the challenge. I think that's where the Liverpool fan base are probably coming from. He's not gone to absolutely clean him out. It's just a mistimed challenge. He hasn't.
But he has cleaned him out though, hasn't he?
Yeah, like
that's the problem.
Yeah, and it was non-malicious. Like he hasn't gone to absolutely destroy him or take him out in that sense, but he's ended up wiping him out. It's mistimed. I don't think Van Dijk has been right for quite a long time, but without a shadow of a doubt, it was a red card. I think he's made the correct decision there. I think we'll come on to the Trent one in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it looks like his ban's going to get extended as well for his verbals afterwards, which is he's probably going to miss an extra couple of games now, which will be a big blow for Liverpool, especially with Konaté's injury. It looks like Matip and Gomez are going to be flying the Liverpool flag for the next few games. So, yeah, I mean,
Nat Phillips.
Yeah, or Nat Phillips, which is music to my ears, mate. So hopefully the excited nature will be very short-lived. So we'll see in the next few games.
But the thing is, the season's only 3 games old for everyone. What do you think the referees do when they get together over the summer and they start saying we're going to massage the rules and we're going to hone in on different aspects, like aspects that no one's even asked for, like this whole 10 minutes injury time? Like, where's that come from? That like, is time wasting been that much of an issue in the last 100 years that all of a sudden they've got to hone in on it? And then also this penalties, let's be more lenient on the penalties and not give them. Obviously, I'm heading towards Man United with that absolute GBH assault on the Wolves player by Onana. We're going for the Liverpool penalty against Chelsea, which stopped the ball going in the net. It wasn't, his arm wasn't down by his side. It was up to the side in an unnatural position.
And the handball
not given
against Spurs,
the handball, stopped the ball likely going in the net. Like, why have the referees decided we're going to have such a massive influence on the start of the season? And the thing is that they're getting themselves into a bit of a tiz, because once the season goes on and it starts getting into a month or two and they start getting all these problems and all these calls wrong, they'll back off again. So the rules at the end of the season won't be the same as the rules at the start of the season. And people will start making compilations of where it wasn't consistent. And that's already happened. McAllister got a yellow card against Chelsea in the first game of the season for waving an imaginary yellow card. Joe Linton done that twice on Sunday, and the referee stared at him both times and didn't even bat an eyelid. That's game 3.
Because it's not a rule. Like that.
Exactly.
Because it's not a rule, so they're just making it up as they go along. So on the pitch, if a referee deems it to be dissent, it will give it. But it's down to the individual refs. Like they're overcomplicating it for themselves. And what they're not doing is like sticking to the basics and keeping to the basics. So for example, like you just said, time wasting. I've actually been on about time wasting for quite a while in my head, and I thought about it. And do you know the 6-second rule? What was meant to be introduced for goalkeepers?
Yes.
That just does not exist. Like
I do that all the time. You see, when a keeper makes a save, I'll do it all the time just because I'm bored. I'll be like 1, 2, 3, and it get to like 12, 13. I think
genuinely keepers hold it for about 20 seconds and they're not pulled up on it. Like that rule's just like been scrapped. It's just like it's just imaginary. It doesn't exist. And it's the same thing now with, like you said, with the whole waving of the imaginary yellow card. That's just referee's discretion. If you get a ref that don't mind, he won't say anything. If you get a ref that don't like it, or book a player. And it's just like the time wasting now. They just didn't need to change that rule. It's ridiculous. Every game's got like 9 minutes at the end of the game, or 9 minutes at the end of the first half. Like no substitutions have been made. Like someone could go down with like a head injury or whatever it is. And it's just ridiculous amounts of time. Like someone's boot could come off in a game, or like Van Dijk takes ages to go off the pitch. And it means like there's 10-minute stoppage time at the end of the first half. Like, that then could suit the team that's like at a deficit in the game. So, for example, like if Van Dijk's descent could mean that Liverpool get 10 extra minutes to score at the end of the first half, like it just shouldn't be like that, really. I know in that circumstance it wasn't that, but it can have a positive effect for a team that's down in a game as well. So they really need to look at it again. Same with the offsides as well now, like if it's a certain body part, if you're not interfering with play, it's becoming a mess. Like even Man United's equaliser against Forest, Casemiro's miles offside, and then like because he's not in the first phase and the ball goes from Rashford to Bruno, when he squares it to him, he's back on side again. But it's just gaining a huge advantage. Like it's getting ridiculous now. Like they just need to make the rules more blanket. Unless you're blatantly not interfering with play and you're like over on the far touchline or something like that. If you're offside, you're offside, really. Like you shouldn't be able to stand on the goal line and then step a couple of yards onside when the ball's getting squared to you and tap it in. It's just getting a joke.
But that's the thing, like, the start of the season, why the refs turned into absolute attention seekers. And it couldn't come at a worse time with that Mike Dean's podcast with Simon Jordan coming out. I mean, I need to do a short on that. Dan, don't steal the idea from me if you're still tuning in. I'm doing a short on Mike Dean. Mike Dean cheated. He actually cheated. He's seen the hair pull, and it's not like, I got that call wrong. I didn't want to put my mate in it. Just say the word. I cheated. I cheated Chelsea out of a penalty. How he's not been brought to task over this, and how he's still even got a position on the Sky Sports panel on Soccer Saturday with his fake tan on and his whitened teeth. Has he been to Turkey and had his teeth done, Mike Dean? He looks an absolute melt, I tell you.
Mike Dean.
Mike Dean. Oh, I hate him. Dan says Carragher doesn't reckon an informed striker being through one-on-one on the edge of the 18-yard box isn't a goal scoring opportunity. To be fair, I see the logic.
Oh God, Carragher was raging at half-time, mate. It's a good job you came back and won, mate, because it would have been FSG plastered all over the post-match reaction. But yeah,
what was he saying? Because obviously I missed it, and I've been looking for as much as I can get on Sky Sports.
So he basically
watching all the podcasts.
He basically said when Isak got fouled, if he wasn't fouled, there was no way to determine whether he would have went through on goal or not. Like, and everyone was like, so where do you think he would have taken his touch? Like, what do you think the next action was? And he just couldn't answer it. He was like, well, no one knows. Like, I think he thought Isak was just going to run into the corner flag and start holding it up or something. I don't know what he thought Isak was going to do, or just like turn around and have a shot at Nick Pope or something. I just don't know what he thought he was going to do, but there was literally no other way he could have went. Like, he was literally clean through on goal if Van Dijk didn't make that challenge, but it turned out.
Look,
yeah,
it was a red. It was a red, unfortunately. Just the way that Van Dijk cleared out Isak's right foot before getting the ball. It was all unfortunate, all mistimed. It was a goal-scoring chance. It was a red card all day long, which I can say that easy because we won and got the 3 points. Jordan Petch was in. How you doing, Jordan? Cheers for joining, mate. Really appreciate it. As always, they smoke crack, Scott. It's horrendous, isn't it? It's like a cult, isn't it? This referee, it's like a cult where they get together, back each other up. It's a bit like the Funny Handshake Gang, but worse. They sit in a small, dimly lit cupboard somewhere at St. George's and mainline heroin through their eyeballs. Mike Dean's in charge of monitoring overdoses.
Oh my God.
I can't disagree with that. The 6-second rule is the biggest load of that football has ever seen. Goalkeepers are the worst culprits. It's mad, isn't it? I just don't understand it for time wasting in general. I'm not doing a short on Mike Dean, mate. I'll get my account taken away because he'll go in. Nunez, what a player. And Doucouré, rumours are back. Really? I thought today it was all about Calvin Phillips and who's the other dead cat we're after now? Douglas Luiz from Villa. He's not a dead cat. I'd take him. He's 25. He's on the cusp, Dan, of the kind of profile player that I like. Anyone over 25, see you later. Not interested. He's not in the squad for Palace tonight, so you never know. He's probably just rested, Dalival. It's a meaningless League Cup that no one cares about, and only dead cat teams are in the League Cup at this stage. Sorry, Dan. Who Chelsea got tonight, Dan, in the League Cup? Got a loving Lee, but I'll catch you later. Nice one. Cheers, Dan. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Trav, what did you make of that? Because obviously he didn't get the foul. That's the crazy thing about it. He turned around like thinking, well, obviously that's a push, but the referee didn't actually blow for the foul. But the worst bit about it was he kind of caught the ball and all he done was throw it back towards the pitch. If he'd have picked the ball up and threw it behind him, he'd have got a yellow card. If he threw it to the side of him, he'd have got a yellow card. So if he had the ball in his hand, what was he supposed to do with it? He was throwing it back onto the pitch. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. The referees have come into this season with a vendetta against Liverpool, and we all know it's against Klopp, all right, because of his confrontation with that. What's that ref? Oh, what's his name?
Oh, yeah, last season.
Yeah, the other melt. Can't stand him. So obviously they're conspiring, the secret society, which are like the Freemasons, this ref cult. They're obviously backing each other up now and they're going for Liverpool, you can see. But anyway, yellow card for Trent. And then obviously that was a second yellow card against Anthony Gordon. We were so lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit unlucky.
But again, consistency, Trav.
Yeah. He's
unlucky. I don't want my boys sent off, but if you're going to be consistent, that was a yellow.
The first one, he was very unlucky because he was definitely fouled. Normally when players like throw the ball away in descent or whatever they're doing, they normally slam the ball on the floor or they do it in quite an aggressive manner. Like you said, he just chucked it back onto the pitch and he should have got a foul. So I understand why he was a little bit frustrated. And it wasn't a blatant decision that the referee had to make. So if I'm the referee in that situation and Trent sort of chucked the ball back on, because it's a little bit of a 50-50 decision, I'd use my discretion and be like, oh, I can understand why he's a little bit frustrated. So I wouldn't have booked him for the first one. But because he had the booking, the second one's a definite booking and he should have been sent off because of that.
Do you think that was him leveling out the first one, that when he looked back, he thought, what was I doing then? But again, it's the inconsistency, isn't it?
Yeah, he probably thought
it's the refs choosing.
Yeah.
The refs are choosing. I'm going to decide whether I'm going to send you off or not. Forget the foul. Forget it's your second yellow, which it was. He was like, I'm just going to atone for my error earlier. It's still humans making errors.
I think there's an element of him probably thinking he didn't want to ruin the game either. I think he thought he was going to ruin the game because it was only like, 6-7 minutes into it or whatever, maybe even earlier. And I think he thought, well, if this happens this early, then it's going to be a non-event. Turns out Newcastle with 10 men still couldn't get the job done anyway. But
again, why? It's either a yellow or it's not. Forget whether it's the first minute or the 90th. The referees are an absolute shambles.
I give up with refs. I give up with them.
That's all you can do now, isn't it?
Yeah, I just give up. I don't even take any notice. I just know that they're going to make a mistake in a game. Point blank facts. Like, they're always going to make mistakes. Simple. But again, I mean, I think this is more than human error now because they're pumping millions into this technology and it feels like it's going backwards. Like, this isn't down to human error anymore. It just seems like every single fixture of the Premier League, every single weekend, refs are getting demoted. There's controversy after controversy, not using the VAR properly, decisions being overturned, apologies left, right, and centre. It's rife. Like, literally, when is it going to end? Like, it just.
That's the thing, Trav. When you think of Mike Dean's interview, he said, and he's tried to backtrack on it already. I don't know if you watched the clip from Soccer Saturday. He went, it come across wrong. I used the wrong terminology. I called him my mate. I just meant my colleague. But he said his mate, if you watch the Simon Jordan interview. So when you're protecting your mate, how does it work when it goes the other way and you made a mistake that's public, which the VAR did for the Man United Wolves game? They got stood down for a week or two, didn't they? How does the fraternity work then when it's like they're looking after each other and they're the cult? Do you think they fall out with each other then? Or do you think they're in a closed room and be like, because it's so public, I've got to be seen to be resting you for a week or two to make it look like we've acknowledged the error?
Yeah. I think there'll be a general understanding like that. Like you said, things have to be seen in the public eye to be being dealt with. But like you said, I think the worst thing about it for me is like the people at the top, like the figureheads for it, your Howard Webbs, the Mike Deans, the Dermot O'Leary, or what? Not Dermot O'Leary, Dermot Gallagher, sorry, who's on Sky Sports. Dermot Gallagher on Sky Sports. These refs were just so controversial when they refed anyway. Like, I think they're the most ballsy, so they'll come out and they'll sort of defend the decisions. But they used to get loads of stuff wrong. Like Howard Webb was notoriously known for being really biased, especially at Old Trafford United, getting penalties left, right, and centre. Mike Dean as well, Dermot Gallagher, they were rubbish refs. Like, there's so many.
Do you remember Jeff Winter?
Oh man.
Do you remember that? He was quite fat. He had a goatee and he fancied himself.
Yeah, I know.
And he used to be dead theatrical and dramatic when he'd give a card. Like, I know I'm on TV.
I know, mate. Dead. Lee Mason.
Don't talk to me.
Rubbish, bro. Like they pick all the dead ones to front it up. Like all the leaders of the training and stuff. There's so many low-key refs who aren't in the spotlight who just do the job well. Do you know what I mean? They should be the ones delivering all the training and everything like that. But I think what that says to me is that pressure is a huge factor. Because when these refs sort of make their names and they get a little bit of status, that's when they start making the mistakes, because they get chosen to ref all these big fixtures and all these high pressure games, and they sort of succumb under the pressure. Like, you can see when the pressure gets to them that they're making all these poor decisions. So I think the media and everybody associated with refereeing can do a lot to like sort of take the pressure off them. I think they should make it a standard practice for referees to start coming out and doing interviews and explaining the decisions. I think it would help referees, definitely. Without a doubt, instead of players and managers and coaches running up to them after games, blasting them and peppering them on the pitch, just wait till their interview comes out, hold them accountable to the comments, and then go from there. That's it.
Do you know as well, like, refs are in the game too long. If you're a ref in the Premier League for 10 to 15 years, over that 10 to 15 years, you're guaranteed to have a bit of a, not hatred, but a negative bias towards a particular club.
Yeah.
Because of incidents that are built up over a decade, that you'll end up not impartial. So to me, there should be like a conveyor belt every 5, 6, 7 years. Like, you've done your stint, a bit like the US president. You can only do 4 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're out. Then it's the next conveyor belt of younger refs and with no bias, with a fresh, clean slate for every club. But anyway, let's stop slating Mike Dean and the rest of the parasites. Let's get on to the good stuff. Trent Alexander-Arnold, what on earth was he doing for that Newcastle goal? That was like a Stevie G absolute slip and mess under the boot. The worst bit about it was he tried to haul Anthony Gordon back. Did you see him? He tugged his shirt just for a minute. If Anthony Gordon didn't score that, would he have been sent off?
Trent should have had 4 yellow cards in the first 20 minutes. He got cooked by Anthony Gordon. His head was frazzled, mate. After that first 13 minutes, he was all over the place. And that just typified his first 15 minutes for me. He was getting ran ragged. And obviously he was inverting, trying to go back out to right back to challenge Gordon. And Gordon was so direct in that first half. It was ridiculous. Every time he got the ball, he just wanted to run at Trent, and Newcastle kept feeding him. Then when the ball was passed back to him from Salah, like you said, it's not a difficult pass. Trent just normally controls that in his sleeve. But it was just a massive lapse of concentration. And he just, like you said, he wasn't focused. He had a tough first 12 to 15 minutes, and that typified that. And Gordon, it was a good finish through the legs of Alisson. And it only looked like one winner. I think it became a little bit too easy for Newcastle. Like you said, the red card, and I think they thought the game was won a little bit too early. And we'll come on to the second half in a minute. But yeah, I think Klopp really puffed his chest out. I think he really stood up to the adversity very well and showed what he was about as a manager. So yeah, tough opening first 20 minutes for Trent.
and that's Trent cost us 2 goals in the last 2 games now. And considering lots of people are championing him going into this inverted fullback, or even pushing on to be an outright midfielder, he's got these 2 blemishes now on his CV the last 2 games. Like, you cannot be making mistakes in that area of the pitch if you were a supposed CM or a CDM, to be non-press resistant, to be panicking with a player at your back. That is just a shambles. I think the Bournemouth one was worse than that, to be honest, because Sunday, it was just a complete mistake, rolled under his foot. It could happen to anyone, but the one against Bournemouth, complete miss kick. They pounced on him as fast as you like, and he just looked like a fish out of water. It was horrendous, really.
Yeah, I think with Trent adapting to this role, I think the fans are going to accept that if he's going to play it, he's going to make some mistakes. Like, he's been so used to, for the last 4 or 5 years, just receiving the ball on his back foot, looking down the line, and either playing short or playing long. Now he's receiving the ball with his back, like receiving it with his back to the play. And like, he's going to have some people pressing him high because he's not used to it. That's where the first goal against Bournemouth comes from. He gets pressed high, and a lot of teams are starting to press high and set traps now in the Premier League. That's the way it's going. It's a high intensity league. So he is going to make mistakes. So if this is a long-term thing, I think Liverpool fans just need to stick with it and accept that from time to time, he's going to make some mistakes doing that. I think the bigger issue for him is the fact that when Konate is out, he's got so much ground to cover, especially in the big games. Like, it might be something that Klopp has to make as a tweak, that in those bigger games, he just doesn't invert. I mean, you don't need to do it in certain games. And I think in a game like Newcastle, it might just not have been the game where he inverts and he just stays in his right back position, because especially with Konate out, it's a big ask for him to be doing doggies between centre mid and right back all the time against somebody so direct. So I think, like you said, Klopp will fine tune it as the months go on. So with 3 games in, we'll see what it looks like in 12 to 15 games.
To be fair to him, he barely put a foot wrong as soon as Van Dijk got sent off and he got the armband. It was like the captain armband gave him this strength and galvanized him. And but obviously when you've come under that much pressure and you've cost a goal in the first 20 minutes, it's difficult to recover from. But testament to him, he didn't put a foot wrong for the rest of the game, and obviously went on and won the game. And that was typified by, did you see him in the corner flag in injury time? And he's screaming at the crowd like, come on, getting everyone up for it. But yeah, second half, obviously, Klopp, he's a genius. I have him right up there in the upper echelons with Sir Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola. I know you've got different opinions.
I respect you. I do respect you.
According to your tweets from the last 24 hours anyway. But basically, Jurgen Klopp won us this game with the changes. Harvey Elliott was fantastic when he come on. Diogo Jota linking up. And then obviously Darwin Nunez. Like I said at the top of the show, sometimes, like, look, when you got your own podcast and you're writing on Twitter, you make predictions, don't you? And you nail your flag to the mast. And sometimes you do a bit of reverse psychology. So I said, look, Darwin Nunez is a flop at Liverpool. Sometimes you do it so that people say, nah, give him time. Just watch, he'll prove you wrong. Or some people agree with it. It just provokes a reaction, provokes conversation. And that's what I said. So when I seen him come on Sunday and done what he done, there's not a player in the Premier League that needed that more than him. He needed a couple of these chances to fly off that right boot, fly in the bottom corner, and give him that boost of confidence. And this is the problem now. What on earth is Jurgen Klopp going to do in the next game? He has to start him.
You don't?
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't have to start him at all, no. I don't think he does. I mean, the thing is, that was the perfect time to bring him on. Tired legs, Newcastle pushing for a winner in a game where the pressure's on. Newcastle have to win. Liverpool have got 10 men. Liverpool sat back, soaked up the pressure, and strategically counter-attacked at the right times. It suited Nunez to a T. He's got blistering pace. And once he was slipped in, I mean, after the game, he said he'd been having chats with Bielsa about his game. I don't know what he's done specifically to change. Might be a movement thing. I'm not 100% sure. But no, I think what he's done is he said to Klopp, when you call upon me, I'll be ready. And
Yeah.
that's basically what he's done. I think he's got a decent enough attitude, and for him to say that he's had chats with Bielsa and he wants to work on his game as a young lad, that's what the fans want to be hearing. He's trying to improve as a player. He's trying to adapt to the league. He's trying to do things which will get him in the team. And we've discussed this about Nunez before. Like, is productively in terms of his numbers, goals and assists, he's actually done all right since he's been at Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? I think there's aspects of his game that do need work. I think when he starts, it's similar to, like, I can't explain it. Like, what I'm trying to say.
Don't call him Divock Origi, please.
No. I'm not comparing him to a player, but what I mean is, attribute-wise, he doesn't want to be playing up against centre-backs. Like, the 2 goals that he scored were just pure in behind, put me in, I'll finish. Yeah. And that's how you've got to play with Darwin Nunez. Now, Liverpool, as a central striker, since Fernando Torres, they've not really played like that. They've had Bobby Firmino for such a long time, who comes in and nicks play, and Salah and Mane and Diaz and those players have been the ones that have been making these inverted runs from wide. So to go from that to Nunez is a massive change in the way that Liverpool want to play. So that's probably going to take time to see the best of Nunez, because they'll be working on it and training. It's probably like a secret weapon he's going to release at some point in the season when people least expect it, and you'll start seeing Nunez get a run of games and you'll change the way you play. And he probably wants to get the midfield right first before he does that. So he's still, I know it's a big fee and people are going to want more from Nunez, but I'd give it a little bit longer first to see how Liverpool transition and like their evolution in terms of how they want to play. And I just wouldn't rush it. He's still 22. I know he's come for a big fee, but let's just give him a little bit more time.
You took the words out of my mouth. It was, I think the best part about Sunday was he had minimal time to think, didn't he? The first one was a bit of a mistake from Botman, I think it was. It flicked off his heel. Next minute he's in. He had no time to think. I think the first goal, he didn't even touch it. He just rifled it bottom corner. Second goal was a fantastic ball from Salah. He turned on the outside. By the time he turned back in, it was there. One touch finish. And that's what Nunez needs. He needs to get his shooting boots on, get his aim right. A few of these balls fly in the net. It's when he goes clean through on goal. You can see him taking a 3rd, 4th, 5th touch. You can see his head is going everywhere. And sometimes he'll even look around and he'll try to feed Salah and he'll try to provide an assist when he should just be going for goal. And you see he just has head loss. So Sunday, there were just 2 snap chances. But I think the best thing for me was they were both coming in off the right. Now, you think of last season when we were struggling, he was deployed from the left, which Klopp likes, a left footer coming in from the right and a right footer coming in from the left. But him coming in from the right, and we all know that Salah likes to play in the middle. I wonder if that gives Klopp something to think about, that maybe Salah can become in the middle, Nunez could come off the right. It just gives us more options, basically. Diaz is a fixture on the left. Gakpo come in as a player off the left. He's been deployed in the Bobby Firmino role in the centre. And then Jota can play left or centre. It just gives us options all over the park.
Yeah.
But when we've bought him as a central striker, can you see Klopp integrating him into this team, into a successful team? And I always say this is all my question. If we had a cup final, Champions League final on Saturday, would he deploy him? And if he did, where and how?
Do you know, because you come up against a lot of low blocks and stuff, he probably thinks his touch isn't good enough and stuff, and his link-up play from a central area. That's probably why I think he's deployed him a lot from the left, because he can make these runs off the ball and stuff and be found in that way. And when he's receiving the ball, he's receiving and he's facing. That's the key for me. He's facing people when he's in wide areas. Like the goals he scored at the weekend, he received the ball while he was running forward. With his back to goal, I don't think Klopp thinks he's good enough to play with his back to goal at the moment. That's why I think he's not starting games for Liverpool. And Gakpo links the play a lot better for Liverpool. So until he gets that side of his game right, then I don't think Klopp's going to be in any rush to start him. But then it's a double-edged sword, because how is he meant to get better if he doesn't start games? Do you know what I mean? As a central player. So I think he'll be given a little bit more time. I think when the Europa League kicks in for Liverpool, I think you'll see Nunez starting games in the Europa League through the middle. That's going to be the acid test for him. That's where he's going to get all of his education as a central player, back to goal, link up. You've
Picking
got
up some goals,
that's
building
it.
his confidence.
You've got nothing to lose. So, like, I know people laughing like Liverpool in the Europa League and that, and it's banter, but it might actually work for Nunez. Do you know what I mean? He can get plenty of games all through the group stage, playing against like average teams as a central player, getting better as a central player, getting like linking up with all the other players, and then when it comes back to the Premier League, he might be a little bit more ready. So yeah, I think it could benefit Liverpool.
And then basically, yeah, if he's flying, got goals in the Europa League, it'll be impossible for Klopp to ignore him in the league.
That's it.
Which is pretty much how Harry Kane got into the Spurs team. Do you remember way back when, 10 years ago or whatever, he kept getting played in the Europa League. He was blasting goals. And in the end, the fan base were going absolutely nuts, saying you've got to start him in the league over Roberto Soldado, was it?
Yeah.
Soldado, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Based on Nunez, he's ready to break onto the scene. A few games in the Europa League, if he does well up front, starts linking up with people, I think you'll see him burst onto the scene as a central player later into the season.
But you hit the nail on the head earlier. 3 games in, he's been on the bench for all 3. He could have been sat there in a mood, couldn't he? And like you just said, he hasn't. He's scored 2 goals, got us the 3 points, basically said to Klopp, I'm ready whenever you need me. I can play off the right, the left, central. I'm not in a mood. I'll give it my all for every minute I'm on the pitch. And yeah, look, it's all good for Liverpool. But as a Liverpool fan, obviously I was getting a little bit animated about this underwhelming transfer window. We're being left short, absolutely left short in the net spend market. Not to bang on about net spend yet again, but we've spent about 59 million. I honestly can't see us bringing in any more players, regardless of what people are writing on Twitter or that Dharmesh Seth and Kaveh Solokol are saying on Sky Sports. I can't see it. So I think this is going to be it for Liverpool. And I cannot believe we're going to hit the 1st of September with another net spend as low as it is. A threadbare squad. I mean, the injuries and suspensions are already biting. Like you said at the top of the show, Konate's out injured. I think Matip come off injured.
Yeah.
I think someone said he's injured already in that Kwanzaa come on. I mean, that is just...
He's going to get injured anyway. We know it. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And Gomez loves an injury as well. But apparently Gomez done really well on Sunday. I didn't see enough of the game to say that, but Gomez done well. Harvey Elliott done well. And then obviously the big players, Szoboszlai and McAllister, are just top draw. We need them to avoid injuries. And I said a tweet a couple of days ago, for us to have a successful season, there's 4 players we need to avoid injury. Konate, Van Dijk, Szoboszlai, and McAllister, them 4. And already it's hitting. If it's not an injury, then it's a suspension on Van Dijk, who looks like he's going to get... It's going to go from a 1-match suspension to a 3-match suspension. And then we're in the realms of Nat Phillips, Joe Gomez, and Joel Matip. I don't know if he's injured or not, but...
Which is tough.
But apparently Endo can play centre-back.
Can he?
Yeah, he's not just a CDM. He's played centre-back for a bit of his career as well. So, but that takes you right back to 2020 and 2021 when we had Fabinho and Henderson. God rest their souls. They're off now. They're not even there to go centre-half now. But I don't want to revisit them days of trying to patch up the defence and ruining the midfield. But yeah, look, start of the season, 7 points from 9. I've got egg on my face. I kept retweeting my own tweet saying we'll get 4 points out of 9 to start the season. So I can't be any more delighted. We've got the excitement, if you can call it that now, of the transfer window closing. Will we bring anyone in? Who knows? There's a few whispers today about Calvin Phillips. Apparently, Man City are willing to let him go if they can sign that Matheus Nunez from Wolves, who Liverpool have been heavily linked with for the last... Well, pretty much for the whole of the winter and spring. As soon as the summer hit, we never got linked with him ever again. But apparently he's off to Man City now and he's gone on strike himself. So he'll push that through. You know what it's like. And if that means we sign Calvin Phillips, I don't really know what I'll think about that as a football fan. Be it a purchase, which I don't think we can afford it because we're skint and tight, or if it's on loan. But the guy's 28, Travis. If Man United was signing Calvin Phillips, would you be happy?
Well, no. The reason I say no is because obviously we've got Casemiro in the same role, and Calvin Phillips isn't going to leave Man City to go to another big club and sit on the bench. So I don't think Casemiro.
I just mean the caliber of him.
Oh, he's a good player. He's a good player, and he's good at what he does. Yeah, he is good at what he does. He's just a sitting midfielder, gets it, gives it, pretty press resistant, likes to tackle, can get around the pitch, good engine. I mean, I know you've just bought a DM. Do you want 2 DMs? Is that what you want? I mean, you know more than me. This is what I mean.
Early signs are Endo will be holding bench, mate. Early signs. I'm not writing anyone off. I've learnt that after Darwin Nunez. All right. I'm eating humble pie. Up the Reds, Darwin Nunez. But early signs are Endo is not going to cut it in the Premier League. The guy's 30. He's 31 soon.
Yeah.
Casemiro's on the decline, whether you like to admit it or not. He's 31. N'Golo Kante barely done anything after the age of 30, 31. We've bought a 30-year-old CDM who played in the Bundesliga for 4 years, and neither Dortmund nor Bayern sniffed around him at all. I cannot believe he's going to be our CDM for the season, but there's still 3 days of the transfer window to go.
The reason I say that is because I don't think any of your other midfielders can really play that role. I mean, we're in the same boat. I said I was crying out for United to go and not buy Mount and go and buy somebody like Caicedo who can play the 6 and the 8 to an elite level and can cover at right back. He literally would have been the perfect signing for you because he could have just switched with Trent when the ball transitioned and you needed somebody to come back and defend. Caicedo could have just filled in at right back, no problem. So he literally was the one that he would have sorted out United and Liverpool, and any club who would have got him was very lucky to have him. It happened to be Chelsea, and that deal was on the table for a long time. But I mean, if you can get Phillips over the line, I don't think it's any harm. It's not going to set you back. Like you said, you're not signing another 30-year-old. He'll come in. He'll probably start in Liverpool's team, to be honest with you. Take the load off Endo. And I think with Thiago coming back as well,
Endo.
Yeah. I think with Thiago coming back as well, I'm not saying it's the rebuild you wanted, but you certainly would have replaced the numbers if you do someone like Calvin Phillips. I don't think you're going to spend the money they're going to want. I think they're probably going to want around 50 million quid for him.
I can see it on loan. I can just see a loan. I can spell another Arthur Melo loan deal.
Can you?
And mainly because we're skint. I think we'll try and dupe them into saying, we'll take him on loan with not an obligation to buy. We'd never tie ourselves in like that, but with a price agreed. Should the loan deal be successful, like we'll have an agreed price that we end up won't paying.
They probably wouldn't do business with you either. I mean, if they see that it's like one of the components that you need in order to compete with them, I don't.
Do you think they see us as a threat? I don't feel like a threat to Man City anymore. But saying that, they sold Zinchenko and Jesus to Arsenal, and look where they are now.
They don't do any business with you though, so he obviously sees you as a threat. Like you've just got to.
Well, they give us Kolo Toure for free and James Milner.
Well, like the Zinchenkos and stuff like that, players like that, Gabriel Jesus, they might have had a little bit of a gentleman's agreement because Arteta used to coach at Man City, that sort of thing. But in terms of business with you, I can't see them strengthening you. If they see a DM as the missing piece for Liverpool, they're not going to give you that. They're just not. So I think that's a difficult deal. You might want him, but I don't think it will get done, to be honest. I do think you'll get one more in, but I don't think it'll be Phillips.
No, I agree. I cannot see it at all. Right, mate. Thanks for joining me to go over how amazing Liverpool are and how we're back and we're in a title race. Is it too early to say it's a 2-horse race, a 3-horse race?
Where are United in the table? 5th? 5-horse.
5-horse race. We'll get on to Man United Thursday night. If anyone's made it this far, do not forget to hit the like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. But we're going to be back Thursday night to preview Arsenal versus Manchester United. A titanic tussle. Is that Highbury, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. That's going to be huge. So, join me and Trav to go over that one. Hopefully we'll have a couple of Arsenal people on the channel as well, and it could be a good one. It could be litty. And there might have been some more transfer news between then and now, Trav. Who knows what can happen in the next 48 hours and then another 72 hours before the window closes. Right. Cheers, brother. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.
Header. But Gerrard! Oh, you beauty! What a head, son!